Welcome all. Today let us study about cholas of Nidugal. They ruled from 800 to 1295 AD. Nidugal is in Pavgada taluk of Tumkur district. Their earlier capital was Henjeru in Anantapura district. They belonged to the Karikala Chola of Urayur. They were also called early cholas of Urayur Puravaradishwaras. Most of their edicts are in Kannada. Dhananjaya Chola, Muttarasa and others were ruling at Henjeru in 8th century AD. Nidugal Cholas were not feudatories of the imperial Cholas. Some of the early rulers were Bhogendra, Mangadeva, Vichideva, Govinda, Veerapandya, Irungoladeva. He enjoyed the title Mahamandaleshwaras under the Kalyani Chalukyas. He ruled from 1106 to 1128. He had conquered areas called Roddenadu 3000, Sirinadu 300, Sindhavadi 1000. Irungola's son Mullideva was also Mandaleshwara under Vikramaditya VI. Henjeru was also called Hemavati Patana. It was famous for Gatikasthana or Vedic Education Center. By 1208, Nidugal was invaded and conquered by Ballala II of the Hoysalas. In 1267, he joined the Shepunas and invaded the Hoysala capital Dwarasamudra. However, they were repelled. Some of the later rulers of Nidugal were Govinda II, Mummadi Irungolan. Their rule came to an end in 1285 when Narasimha II conquered Nidugal. The Nidugal Cholas here known for the construction of the tanks. Next, Rattas of Soundatti. Their capitals were Soundatti and Belgaum. They ruled from 930 to 1230. Rattas were prominent among the minor dynasties of Karnataka. The word Ratta has come from Rattanuru or Rattur in Usmanabad district of Maharashtra. It was a part of Hyderabad Nizam state before 1956. They belonged to Rashtrakuta dynasties. They were also called Lattur Puravaradishwaras. Between 753 to 973, the Rashtrakutas ruled as emperors. The Rattas of Soundatti were the vassals of Rashtrakutas, Kalyani Chalukyas and Kalachuris. Soundatti is in Belgaum district. Its earlier name was Sugandhavati. The region was called Kundananadu 3000. It included large parts of Belgaum and Gadaga district. Athani, Khanpura, Champagaon were outside the Kundanadu. Soundatti was their earlier capital and Belgaum became their later capital. The founder of Ratta dynasty was Prithvi Rama. He was appointed by Rashtrakuta Emperor Krishna III. His father was Pittuga and grandfather was Prithvi Rama of Meerut. They had been feudatories under Chalukyan Tailappa. Nanniga, brother of Prithvi Rama, ruled for some time. His son was Kartavirya or Kartivirya. He was called Samanta of Kundala Nadu 3000. He was also called Kattaga or Kattama in the edicts. His son Daima took part in the expansion of the Chalukyan Empire. His brother Kanniga was the great warrior and an adventurer. He served as the vassal under Chalukyan Emperor Jayasimha. Kanniga's son Yarama was an expert in singing and instrumental music. He was a patron of literature. His brother Anka helped Someshwara, the emperor, in his conquest. Kanniga II, Kartavirya II, succeeded him one after the other. They patronized music and dance. The royal preceptor called Kanaka Prabha Siddhanta Deva in 1087, Kalasena II, son of Kartavirya, took the title Prithvi Vallabha. He was appointed as the chief commander of Vikramaditya VI. His son Kartavirya III served under Bijala II, Kalachuri Emperor. He had made uh, Nesargapatana of Kundalanadu as the second capital. His queen Padmala Devi was proficient in music and dance. She spent much of her time in religious ceremonies. She had patronized Jain monks and had built many bastis for them. Therefore, she was compared to the most benevolent Jaina Yakshi Padmavati. During the 12th century, Kundanadu or Soundatti Jains had become very powerful in trade and commerce. In this context, Professor Alchekar says that there were 30% of Jains in North Karnataka. Kartavira IV and his brother Mallikarjuna or Malinatha ruled as king and the crown prince. Next, independence of Rattas. After the fall of Kalachuris at the end of the 12th century, Rattas became independent. Kartavirya IV transferred his capital from Soundatti to Venupura, that is now Belagaum. Because it had become a commercial capital, merchants from Kerala, Kuntala, Malwa, and Latta had developed trade contact with Venupura. Kartavira was a cultured monarch who patronized poets, singers, dancers, actors, and others. His queen, Echala Devi, was also a dancer and patron of artists. She had come from rich Jain merchant family of Belgaum, that was Venugrama. Though a Jain, she was liberal towards Shaivism. She built many Jain bastis and Shaiva temples. Her son Lakshmi Narasimha too built Mallinatha Basadi and a large Nagarakere. He visited Sri Shaila Mallikarjuna temple along with his family and offered puja to Jyotirlinga. He bought a Shivalinga from Sri Shaila and built a temple of Mallikarjuna at Belagaum. His court poet and prime minister was Manuchandra, a Jain scholar. He was called Rattaraya Rakshaka. After his death in 1230, Rattas' rule came to an end. Administration. Rattas had established a stable government. The cabinet was consisted of Mahapradhana, Sandhi Vigrahi, Kadata Verkade, Mana Verkade, Vidyapati, Nyayapati, Mahadandanayaka. Many of the edicts of Rattas referred to the scholarship and efficiency of the members of the cabinet. Next, economic condition. Though the Ratta kingdom was small, it was prosperous and peaceful. Jain officials and merchants were known for their love and peace. The farmers, craftsmen were very hardworking, including men and women. There was abundance in food, grain, cattle, wealth. Kundanadu was rich in flowers and fruits as it was a part of Western Ghats. Natural wealth brought a large income to the state. Coconut, aracanut, paddy, pepper, jackfruit, spices were exported. Craftsmen were manufacturing cotton and silk cloth. Weavers were well organized into guilds. Prominent trading centers of Kundanadu were Belgaum, Teradala, Kallole, Nesargi. Pearls, emeralds, diamonds were abundant and various jewels were manufactured by the expert goldsmith. Religious conditions. Rattas of Soundatti were primarily Shaivas but had matrimonial alliance with Jain families. Therefore, they patronized both the religions. They had given land grants to basadis and temples. Kartavirya not only built temples and basadis as well as guest houses. His queen Echala Devi and Bagala Devi were Jain and had built basadis and temples. Kanaka Prabha Siddhanta Deva was a great Vedic scholar and royal preceptor of Ratta dynasty. Ratta king Lakshmi Narasimha undertook pilgrimage to Sri Shaila 3 times. During his time, Shaiva sects like Pashupatas, Kalamukas, Suddha and Veerashaivas were prominent. Jain monks were defeated in the philosophical depths by Shaiva, Madhava, and Veerashaiva philosophers. As a result, Jain monks, along with the followers, had to follow Shaivism, Vaishnavism, and Veerashaivism. Next, literature. Some of the Rattas rulers were scholars and poets. They were familiar with Sanskrit, Kannada, Marathi, Prakrit, as well as Telugu language in their literature. Some of the prominent court poets were Balachandra, Munichandra, Rudrabhatta, Parshva Pandita, Madiraja, Gunavarma, Kaladitya. They were tutors to princes of royal families. Parshva Pandit was called Kavi Kulatilaka. He wrote Parshvanatha Purana and composed political edicts to glorify the adventures of Kartavirya. Gunavarma wrote Pushpa Danta Purana and Chandranatha Staka. Munichandra wrote Dharma dramas and a book on grammar. He also wrote some poems. Rudrabhatta wrote Kavya Lankara and presented it to Kanaradeva, a Rashtrakuta emperor. The poet Madhiraja composed several edicts in prose and poetry. In next class, let us study about Kadambas of Hanagar. Thank you.